Assalamu alaikum online. One, barakallahu fikum. All right, brother, we'll start, inshallah. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillahi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. Brothers and sisters, for those who have joined us now, and maybe will watch this video later, a couple of days ago, way back on the 16th of December, an organization, a media outlet, if you call it that, Memory TV, they released an article, and the title of the article is Australian Salafi scholar Abu Ousayd saying Merry Christmas is worse than congratulating a person for murder, adultery, drinking and gambling. And then straight after that we had another media outlet here in Australia, news.com. An article was written by a person called Frank Chang, I believe it was. He said similar things, but then he added a different spin and started to bring so many other things from anywhere and everywhere and trying to mush this whole story together. So inshallah, we decided to go live in order to speak about this. We're hoping that there is anyone from the media out there who's watching this. We're hoping that there's non-Muslims who are out there, any Christians or Jews, Hindus, whoever they may be, that have joined in. So this is why we're asking the brothers and sisters to share the link, so with the hope that these people come in. We've shared on Twitter and Telegram and other places saying that we're going to go live. It was short notice, but we ask Allah Azza wa Jal that He guide our heart, our tongue, and give us wisdom in order to make these clear and these accusations, and in order to address them. So that was my little introduction. If Brother Abu Muhammad, you want to add anything to that? By all means, brother, you can have the mic.
Yeah, Bismillah wa salatu wa salam. Okay, the reason we're uploading this live is just to clarify the matters that Ousayd Abu Ousayd, may Allah protect him, he done a talk in Al Madinah Dawah Center about 2 weeks ago regarding celebrating Christmas. And as a Muslim, what is your stance on this celebration? Can you congratulate a Christian on this festival? And as we know, as Muslims and Christians, that the 25th December is an international recognized date for the Christians, which they choose to celebrate the Son of God, Jesus, part of the Trinity, that who came into flesh, into this dunya, and He died for your sins. And it's the birth of part of the Godhead into this world. So the talk was addressing the Muslim audience, but also for the non-Muslims, it's very educational for them. If they choose to open their ear with an open heart and actually listen to the lecture, because it's very educational, whatever was said in the lecture came from their own Bible, come from their own history, come from facts. So if they are now having a media frenzy about this, the matter is east, but they're going west. They are trying to make something out of nothing. If anything, they should actually thank him. Because whatever they got is something they're not going to learn in the church. Whatever they're not going to learn in the Bible studies. But we as Muslims, we are telling you the truth. Why? Because we want to care for you. We want you to stop worshipping a man who apparently died for you on the cross. How can you worship someone who died for you on the cross? And this, inshallah, we're hoping that inshallah tonight we're going to go through the topics. Certain topics that maybe the people who are just blindfold on the media, the propaganda of the West, like the news.com, which post the story of Ousayd Abu Ousayd, we all know this is propaganda, mouthpiece of the West. They're promoting this hatred, anti-Islam, anti-anything. They promote Western colonialism, white supremacy. These kind of people, don't listen to them. Even you're a non-Muslim watching this movie, watching this Instagram post later, listen to it with an open heart and verify whatever we say. Back it out. Open the Bible, Google search whatever we say. If we were lying, come and refute us with information, with facts. Do not come onto our Facebook page, YouTube page, Instagram, and just making some silly comments. You make yourself look stupid. You make yourself look ignorant. You're wasting your time. You're wasting our time. Yeah, Bismillah, we'll start. Inshallah, if you want, we can start.
Inshallah. But before we actually do start, I want to say this, and I want to address this to a couple of people. One being Memory TV, two being news.com.au, and the third being some lady on Twitter named Amy Meck, if I'm saying that correctly. So at Amy Meck, who has 246,000 followers. Now, all three of these people have said or have alleged things that are completely false. So it's not a surprise that they run with their lives building that they've built their faith and religion on lies. Say memory TV, for example, called myself a Salafi scholar. I have never ever said I'm a scholar, and I'm not a scholar. I've never ever claimed the title. I've never ever said for anyone to call me that. Rather, scholarship is something that in Islam is looked upon as very high and something great. So let's just get the first lie out of the way. But they needed to use this to sensationalize this title and this topic in order to say, look what a scholar is saying. No, I'm not a scholar. I'm not a scholar. I'm a da'i, someone who calls to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I'm a student of knowledge. So that's the first thing that memory got wrong. The next thing that news.com got wrong is that they said many years ago, I said to the then Prime Minister to rip up my passport and send me overseas so I can join ISIS. Where's the proof of this? Where's the proof that I said this? And this is alleging something which I didn't say. This is, again, something which is false. If it's true, I don't think I'll be standing or sitting here in front of you giving this life, if that was the case. So that's another lie, that according to your own law and your own ways, that you could be held liable for defamation and so on and so forth. And then the next person, Amy Meck, is saying things to the very same thing. Where was it? She was saying, okay, Muslim scholar Wissam Abu Ousayd Haddad lectured his army. Which army am I lecturing? And which army do we have here within a country that we live in Australia, in Sydney, Australia, in our masjid, in our musalla in Bankstown, that we have an army that somehow Shay all the way in America, who's supposed to be an investigative reporter, gets it wrong, or sorry, in her mind, gets it right, but then the actual government here in Australia doesn't know about this army. So it's just something completely laughable, and we can make, plenty of jokes about and have a laugh about. But as my brother Abu Muhammad has said, we want to get into the topic. So, and that is Christmas. So I'll leave it to you, brother, to ask whatever you want to ask, inshallah, and we'll start addressing that.
Ustad, I just want to add on that. There's no doubt these kuffars, they are delusional. They are making things in their head to get clickbait, to get publicity, to piggyback right. You in order for their name to get out. If anything, they should thank you, because without you, they are nobody. So who is the real hero here? Not them. They are making lies about you in order for them to get out there. Because if it wasn't for you, maybe people are not going to click on their Twitter or not click on their link. So have a little bit of self-respect, the Western media. We know you're a propaganda machine. We know what your agenda is. We know what you want. How do you think about the Muslims? Even though you try to hide it very well, but you're not going to fool people all the time. People are going to see through these lies, like what Ousayd just said. You said he's a scholar. You haven't done your investigation properly. You don't even know his title. We have many scholars here in Bankstown. I'm also Sheikh if you want. We have doctors, we have an engineer here. Stop talking from the air, They believe pigs can fly. What can you do, brother? So look, let's get into the topic. First of all, I want to ask you a question. As I explained before, the Christmas we already said that it's a date that the Christians internationally known for the Son of God, the Trinity becoming flesh into this world in order to save people and die for your sin. Why as a Muslim you cannot celebrate this holiday? Why?
Look, the reason is the words of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and this is something very important to understand. The way that we understand our religion, the religion of Islam, the religion that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent for all mankind, not just for Muslims. Why? Because Allah Azza wa Jal is the one who knows full well what His creation, His creatures should follow. So He sent a divine law from Him. So this is from Allah Azza wa Jal. But as Muslims, in order to know what is halal and what is haram, we have to turn always to the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then also after that, to the words of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And many people know this to be the hadith of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And then with these two that we have, the Quran and the Sunnah, we have to understand them only as the companions, the Sahaba of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam understood them. Because a person could try to open up the Quran and say, well, this is what it means, or this is the reason for revelation. And he can read the ahadith, but you can't rely on your own opinion. You have to go to the people who understood the Quran when it was being revealed. You have to go to the people who understood the words of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he was not only speaking them, when he was practicing and doing them. So we have to take their understanding. Now, regarding the words of the Prophet ﷺ, the Prophet ﷺ, he once entered into Al-Madinah, and there he found that the people were celebrating a day of celebration. So the Messenger ﷺ, he quizzed them and he said to them, what are you celebrating? What is this? And they said, O Prophet of Allah, it's a day of celebration that we used to celebrate in the days of ignorance, the day of Jahiliyyah. So the Messenger ﷺ, he says to leave these days, and said that Allah Azza wa Jal had replaced these celebrations with 2 days, of celebration, and that is the 2 Eids of the Muslim. So the Muslim doesn't have more than these 2 religious celebrations. And the scary thing here that we have to be careful of is that if we start to follow the disbelievers in their celebrating, in their occasions, whether it be Christmas, Easter, New Year's, Father's Day, Mother's Day, and the list can go on and on, right? If we start to follow them in this, then we are falling into what the Messenger is telling us not to do. The Prophet ﷺ says to, which means, do not imitate, whoever imitates a people is one of them. Whoever imitates a people is one of them. And it's being very, very clear cut. And one of them is what? Are they mu'minin? Are they believers? No, they're not. They're disbelievers. They don't believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the way that they are supposed to. So the Prophet is saying you are like them. Whoever imitates a people is of them. So as Ibn Taymiyyah, when he explained this hadith, he said that from the general understanding that we can see from this is that when the Messenger is saying that whoever imitates a people is one of them, means that he is a disbeliever in the general sense. But then he gives it levels. Is what they are following them, is it a religious thing, is it a habit, is it culturally, is all this sort of stuff. And this is why it's very important that we have to understand what Christmas is and where it came from. So inshallah, Ali, that answer what you call.
And also I would like to add, in your talk 2 weeks ago, you also gave a quote from Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah. He said, Ibn Qayyim, right, this is widely accept Sunni scholar, not the extremist, not the fundamentalist, accept the scholar, which people, every university, school, masjid have his books. He said, as for offering congratulations on the special ritualistic occasions of kufr, this is agreed to be haram, such as congratulating them for their festivals and fast by saying happy or blessed festival to you and the like. So my question to the audience, Muslims and non-Muslims, who do you follow? Do you follow Ibn Qayyim, or do you follow your local sheikh who's, like I mentioned before, is getting a big fat paycheck, maybe a few $1,000 a week, free hajj, free umrah, company, maybe masjid give him a car, everything is paid for, he comes to the masjid, give a khutbah, but yet how come he missed this point? You sheikh who studied 20 years in Medina, 10 years, certificate here, certificate there, certificate on PDF, why did he miss this point? Why, when the Christmas day come, instead warning the ummah of this shirk occasion and saving the Muslims from falling to haram and kufr, maybe they were talking about some kufr, shirk and zandaka, some useless thing, maybe how to make it wudu or something. I mean, I'm not saying that's useless, but I'm trying to say, but does that fit the occasion? Now, why is the Ustad Abu Sayyid has been targeted so much? It's because he's the only one who's speaking the haqq, who's warning you guys. So instead of thanking you, we think we'll have the people mocking us. What hurt us most is the so-called Muslims with Muslim names mocking us on the YouTube, on the Facebook, saying Merry Christmas. Have a Merry Christmas, brothers and sisters. I would say, can you please also explain to the people that what is the ruling on mocking certain rulings like this? Can you mock? Is this something to be funny, something fun, to jump on the wagon, to be like the kuffars? Because they say this, I'm going to jump on and be like them. Like a lizard calling the hole, fall on their bum.
Yeah, subhanAllah. So subhanAllah, even you mentioned Ibn al-Qayyim, and what's funny is all the articles that are in the 3 places that I mentioned, Memory TV and news.com.au, and this lady herself that shared the Christmas video, and that Christmas video is obviously an hour-long video. So they took a snippet, and that's all they used to try to make it into a story, right? Now, those words that they actually used in the article and in the videos on the news articles are actually not my words. I was reading the words of Ibn al-Qayyim. And this is the opinion of Ibn al-Qayyim when he said that it's less of a sin to congratulate a fornicator or a gambler or a thief or a murderer than to congratulate someone with Merry Christmas. This is Ibn al-Qayyim. So this is the pious predecessors who have been saying this before any of our shuyukh today were born, before any of them, before even certain states were established. And we're talking about 300, 400 years maybe after the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the Muslims were still on this, that you cannot wish the disbelievers a Merry Christmas. Now, let's go even further. Let's go even further. For some people, when we talk about Ibn al-Qayyim or we mention Ibn Taymiyyah, they say that even they are extremists. They say that even they are extremists, subhanAllah. So let's go somewhere even further back. Let's go to Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu, al-Faruq. Where the Prophet ﷺ screamed or was so happy and made takbir in the house in which he was when he took his shahada, or got up in raw and in happiness. So much so that they had to flee because of the shahada of Umar, because of the fear that at that time there was a time of weakness. This is al-Faruq. So this is the second Khalifa of the Muslims. So not far from a student of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What does he say about these things? He says, his son says, Abdullah ibn Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, said, do not enter into the mushrikeen, those who associate others with Allah in his divinity or worship. Do not enter into their churches on the day of their festivals, for the wrath, the anger of Allah Azza wa Jal descends upon them, is descending upon them. And he also says other things to similar things. Now, in regards to slander, the Prophet ﷺ made it very clear. If you say something about your brother which is true and he dislikes it, this is what? Backbiting. But if you say something about your brother which is not true, then this is something which is even worse, which is a slander. Now, going back to what you were saying regarding some quote-unquote Muslims who are trying to have some fun and come onto the social media accounts or YouTube or Facebook and any of those other things, and they themselves, and Muslim people by name, are saying Merry Christmas in order to be funny. Can you do this? No, you cannot. There was people, the companions at the time of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who mocked the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made a lesson of them and said about them, they have disbelieved after they have believed. There was no warning given to them. There was no, you can't say this. There was no, we have to look into his heart. There was none of this. They mocked the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal, and then the ayat came down against them. And what was their excuse? What did they try to go to as their defense? O Prophet of Allah, we were only joking. We were only mucking around. We were only running amok. We were only having fun. So these people who are wishing Merry Christmas, they should know that Christmas is something that every Muslim opposes. No Muslim in his right mind will say Christmas is something which is righteous, which is halal, which is good. Who in their right mind would say that Christmas to a Christian is other than them saying that the Son of God was born, or in some cases God himself was born? So every single Muslim, if you want to say from the most moderate to the moderate, to the most extremist to the extremist, knows that Christmas is shirk. And this is why shirk is the greatest thing which is hated by Allah Azza wa Jal. And this is what Christmas is, it is shirk. So if a person dies on shirk, Allah Azza wa Jal will not forgive him. If a person dies on major shirk, Allah Azza wa Jal will not forgive him on this. But if a person dies gambling, if a person dies fornicating, a person dies he's a murderer, a person is a thief, and he hasn't said that this thing is halal, but he's doing this sin, then Allah Azza wa Jal can choose to forgive him. He may have to go through some punishment, but as long as he had iman in his heart, and he had no shirk, and he done this sin, ultimately after a period of time that Allah Azza wa Jal chooses, this person will go to Jannah. But this is not the case for the person who commits shirk. And Christmas is exactly that, it is shirk. SubhanAllah.
And I also want to add, like you said, the soft, if people are sincere, the one who are commenting on our Facebook page, and Norman Ali Khan, the one who said that you can't call a kafir, you gotta say him not yet Muslim. Even he said in his YouTube channel, on one of the YouTube videos, that you cannot wish them a Merry Christmas. Even he said there's nothing merry about Christmas. So you see, extreme fundamentalists, or you only ask because you think we are easy target to pick on? But also, just to re-say what Ousayd just said, that this is in the stories in Surah Tawbah, that when the Sahabas mocked the Quran reciters, Allah actually said, Yani, you have disbelieved after you believed. So is Allah a takfiri according to you guys? Not you guys who's watching, but the people who watch later who are, against what Ousayd was saying. Is Allah a takfiri? Because he made takfir on the people who mocking the deen. Think about that. Think about that. Think about what are you up on? Are you up on the understanding of the Sahaba and the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or are you up on something different? Because, like I said, even those people who are retweeting these kuffars and the Muslim, doesn't matter. You want to challenge us, we can come on here anytime, debate about the issue of Christmas. We just got started, so just we're going to give you educate you guys, especially the non-Muslims who are watching later. We can educate you because obviously you guys don't about your own religion, and you're still celebrating on the 25th of the Christmas. Now, Ousayd will say, please, from my knowledge, I know that Christmas, they started celebrating Christmas on the 25th December, 330 years some later after Jesus. Meaning what? From the time of Jesus to 300 years after the Council of Nicaea, the Roman Catholics started celebrating that. For 300 years, none of these disciples celebrate Christmas, like the companions of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. None of them celebrate the Mawlid. Same, their companions never celebrate Christmas. Now, where did they get this 25th December from? Is there any evidence from the Bible or any written evidence from any of the disciples of Jesus or his companions that he was born on the 25th? And we should take this day as a celebration.
Yeah. So look, everybody out in the world knows that the book of the Muslim is the Quran, which is the words of Allah Azza wa Jal. And the book of Allah Azza wa Jal, the Quran, is relevant for every time. It never goes out of fashion. It's never changed. It can never be changed. Allah Azza wa Jal promised to protect it. And it's going to be relevant from when it was revealed to the Prophet ﷺ all the way to the end of times. And this is something that both Jews, Christians, and Muslims believe, that there is going to be a last day on this earth. But as a Muslim, we derive our faith, as we said earlier, from the Quran, the book of Allah Azza wa Jal. So any practice that we're going to do in Islam, we have to find it in the Quran. If we don't find it in the Quran, we have to find it in the practice of the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Right? That should also be the same thing for the Christians with their book. Right? So in order to practice Christmas, there has to be somewhere in here, in these pages, where Christmas is being mentioned. The word Christmas does not exist in here. The word Christmas does not exist in here. The date, the 25th of December, being the birthday of Jesus, does not exist in here. The only thing, and I've said this in my lecture, the only thing that we do find is a passage in Luke, when Luke is telling us the birth of Jesus, when he was born, and they say that he was born in a time where it would have been either spring or summer, because the people of that time, the shepherds, were still outside with their flock, and they were sleeping outdoors. This is something which is impossible to do in winter, where in Palestine, Allah Azza wa Jal, or Jerusalem, Allah Azza wa Jal, free it. It would have been impossible. So the only thing that shows us roughly when Jesus is being born is the passage of Luke, right? No December 25th. So how did that come about? Well, as you mentioned, Akhi, the first person to bring December the 25th is the Emperor Constantine. So anyone who knows history should look at this, because many of the things that takes Christianity for a ride is happening at this time. It's first happening with Paul the Apostle, who didn't even meet Jesus, who at the time wasn't even a follower of Jesus, but later he says he has a vision. So first he takes Christianity for a ride, and then later we also see that Constantine, he takes Christianity as a ride. Now, Constantine, historically, he was a pagan. He was a pagan Roman. So he wasn't a Christian. Later on, towards the end of his life, they say either on his deathbed or just before, he becomes a Christian. Now, the reason why he's becoming a Christian, some people are skeptical. Some said he only became a Christian in order to keep his position and his power, because at that time, Rome became Christianized, if you want to call it that. You know, they worry about, subhanallah, Muslims taking over countries when Christianity done the same thing to Rome. And Christianity came and it overtook the people's beliefs at that time, which were pagan idol worshippers. And Christianity, you know, became the dominant religion in that part of the world. So Constantine at this time, he wanted to draw together the two quote-unquote faiths of Christianity and paganism. So what they done in order to combine the two together, there was a god known, or a false deity, a false god, known to the Romans as Saturn, and there was a thing that they used to celebrate, which was known as Saturnalia, in honor of the god's son Saturn. So this was a day, December the 25th, that they used to worship their sun god. And this sun god was also known to be the son of light, and he also has a very similar story to that of Jesus. So what they done is they bring the two together, and they said, since the pagans are practicing the 25th, and then we need a day to say that Jesus is born, because there's nothing concrete or proof. So they combined these 2 days together in order to win over more reverts to Christianity. So now it was very easy for a pagan who was already celebrating December 25th as a holy day. Now that Christianity was all over the place and it was the religion of the state, all they had to do is say they're Christian and then just still celebrate on the 25th, but to now a different God. So this is where it originated from.
I also want to point out that what the information you are reading out is not coming from the Muslim. This is coming from Christian traditions, history books, documented history that you cannot deny. So if you guys are sincere, the Christians who are watching, who are so passionate about your own religion, you love Jesus so much, I would suggest you instead wasting time commenting on YouTube, research and actually listen. You know, how are you going to be educated? How are you going to cure your ignorance if you're not willing to learn? If you know everything, a cup is full, it cannot be filled, right? Even I'm sure later on, I'm sure the media, whatever, they probably want to watch this because they're going to try to find some extreme and make another paper, have another few days. But, even you as a media people watching this later, be sincere. Put your job aside for a minute and think about it. Your purpose in life. Who are you worshiping? Why are you celebrating Christmas? I've had people commenting on YouTube channel saying 25th is Merry Christmas, and he said, I'm not even a Christian. Why? You know what I'm saying? Why are you following the trend? They say jump, you say how high. You're doing what they told you. You're following the media. You're following the trend. Be an individual. Don't be a sheep. Just follow the mass. Because if you're a sheep, they're going to lead you to the cliff. Are you going to go lead to the slaughterhouse, get slaughtered? Think about it. Allah give you the brain, give you an akal. Look around. Verify things. Verify. Don't just follow whatever people say and whatever they do. Because the trend is going to change. One day this guy's good. Next day this guy's bad. The kuffars, they do it to each other. Yeah? What I'm trying to say? I was outside. So next one I want to ask you.
It's funny that you mentioned that though, because this website, Memory TV, is actually run by Zionists.
Are the Jews?
So it's funny that they're worried about a Muslim standing against Christmas when they themselves reject Jesus and his mother.
Subhanallah.
And even the news outlets, the majority of them as well, is owned by Zionists or people of that background. And again, they hate Jesus and they hate his mother. Where the Muslim, we love the Virgin Mary and we love Isa alayhi salam. May Allah's peace and blessings be upon him. And we believe in his miraculous birth, right? So it's just funny. But like you were saying, Akhi, it all comes down to knowledge. Like when Muslims are put in the spotlight, and then you have these white supremacists or these racists, they just take whatever the news has said and they copy and they mimic and they become parrots. This is the same way they have taken their religion. That whatever the priest has said in the church, whatever the Pope has said, I'm just going to take it at face value. Don't even look at it. And that's why we believe as Muslims that knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. And the way that you can control a people is to keep them ignorant. If you keep a people ignorant, and as sheep, as you said, as you rightfully said, they're not ever going to open up a book. They're just gonna take whatever's been dished out to them, whatever's served to them. They're not gonna even bother going into their own book to say and defend the truth. Because at the end of the day, there is Christians out there who speak against Christmas and say that everything joined to Christmas is taken from the pagans. And there's many things that we can get into. The other day, somebody forwarded to me a famous preacher from the US, And he was asked by the interviewer, what do I say to someone who says that there's no proof of Christmas? Then he himself, a Christian preacher, smiled and he laughed and he said, look, your friend's correct. There's no proof. Yes, the birth of Jesus Christ is in the Bible, but there's nothing to say it's on the 25th. There's nothing to say it had anything to do with trees. There's nothing to say there's reindeers. There's nothing to say that there's some fat white man with red cheeks and a white beard coming down anyone's chimney. And then it just came down to having this good feeling. That, you know, well, since the tree's there, it makes us feel good. Why not? Since the Santa Claus is there, it makes us feel good. Why not? Giving presents makes us feel good. Why not? So they've actually moved away from their own religion. And then moved away from their own religion. And this is why, of the reasons why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent Muhammad sallallahu as the final prophet. Because the people of the book beforehand, the Christians and the Jews, they corrupted their books. They corrupted the teachings of their prophets. So Allah Azza wa Jal sent Muhammad sallallahu to make right whatever they made wrong. And He clarified it. So and that clarification is to what? To worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone with no partners. Muslims don't worship Muhammad sallallahu. We say that he is just a man like us who received revelation, and he is the greatest of creation. He's the best of creation. And he's the master of all mankind in his status, but he's still a man. He's not divine. He's not the son of God. He's not God himself. We don't even pray to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We don't even pray through him. You know, what we do take from Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is his knowledge, his wisdom, his words that he came, the words that Allah Azza wa Jalla revealed to him, what he taught us, his teachings. And the same way that Jesus said that in order to get to God, pretty much you have to go through Jesus at that time. So at the time of Jesus, when there was no other prophet but Jesus, or Isa alayhi salam, you had to follow his teachings to get to God. So I want to make a challenge to any Christian in particular watching this, and that is, find me anywhere historically or in the Bible where Jesus himself celebrated Christmas. Or find me where the disciples celebrated Christmas. Or find me where the word Christmas is being mentioned. Or find me anywhere in here, as we said, reindeers, trees, giving presents, and all this stuff. Rather, what you would find if you were sincere and you just do a quick Google search, you would find that these things come from the pagans. They were picked up from the pagans and they were brought into Christianity, and it became an innovation into Christianity. So why grow up with a lie? Why grow up with a lie? Come to the truth and come to Islam.
That's right, brother. I just want to also add, as you mentioned, the MERI, the media channel is a Jewish media channel.
Zionist, yes, owned by Zionists, yeah.
If they are sincere, the non-Muslims who are watching this, who are so passionate about Jesus, why don't you go ask a Jew, any Jew, what they think about Jesus? Is he in heaven or in hell? I'm 100% they'll tell you, no, Jesus is in hell. But what do we say as Muslims? We say he's up there with Allah. He's one of the mightiest prophets. But let's say Jesus in hell. If you ask the Jew, any Jew you find tomorrow when you go on the street, you ask him, what do you think about Mary, the mother of Jesus? They'll say she's an evil woman, and she committed adultery. And Jesus is a bastard son. A bastard son. This is what they say about you, God. But what do Muslims say about Mary? That she's one of the highest of 4 most righteous women in heaven. And she's, that's right. Yes, one of the best women ever Allah created. So,
and even a surah in the Quran is named after her.
Surah Maryam, yes.
Surah Maryam, the chapter. Is there a verse here? Is there a chapter here? Any of these books in the Bible, do any of these have the name of the mother of Jesus as the title of any of the books in the Gospels or in the Bible? You don't find it. Why? So who loves Mary more? Who loves Jesus more? Us or the Christians?
And also I want to mention there's also a verse in the Bible that when Jesus preaching, and his mother Mary actually said, this family actually said he's crazy. So can you imagine, according to the Bible, that Jesus' mother actually said his son is crazy? That's in their own Bible. So how did their book contradict? It collapsed within itself. So look, brother, let's move on quickly. We don't want to take too long. I also want to move on to the Christmas tree, which we're seeing certain so-called Muslim football players celebrating Christmas under a Christmas tree. From what I know, the one of the pagan origins of the Christmas tree, that we all heard the saying "knock on wood," because certain pagans back in the past, they used to say trees bring them luck, brings fertility, and they used to chop trees and they used to bring it to their house. And that's the same knock on wood come from. Maybe you can elaborate about the Christmas tree, because even my son is only 7 years old. Even he was saying to me about those soccer players, just because he's famous, he's good at soccer, doesn't mean he's a good Muslim. Even the young kids understand that. So again, this is one of the disease of social media, that someone can kick a ball, someone can throw a ball into a ring. These people are looked upon for a direction to salvation, direction of a man, a real man, someone who can lead you to heaven. Instead, they should look into Sahaba. Now, none of the Sahaba played sport. I don't think they had a soccer league, or I don't think any of the Sahaba was expert in soccer or cricket or tennis. I don't think they had time for that, bro. I think they were too busy spreading Islam so people like you and me can be saved from hellfire, rather than sitting in front of the TV till 3 o'clock in the morning watching, groups of men kicking a ball into spend $220 billion just to watch two groups of men kick a ball, wearing shorts, showing their aura, women free mixing music, concert singing. And this is what I said, this is dawah. This is not the dawah of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. This is dawah of the UAE Taghut. Those Taghut, that's their dawah. That's not the dawah of Muhammad. So don't please leave Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. If this is your dawah, say that's your dawah. This has nothing to do with Islam. Brother, you started to about the, I dragged down with you about the Christmas tree. Inshallah, if you can elaborate.
But just on that point, this is even one of the miracles of the Messenger Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And he said that there will come a time where the people will take the ignorant as their leaders. Right? So then you got these famous personalities, as you mentioned, footballers, soccer players, whatever you want to call them, depending on which part of the world you are. And just because they're famous at the sport that they are doing, gives them no right, if they have no Islamic education, to be taken as an example of someone to be followed in Islam, nor to speak about Islam. Not to speak about Islam. Being a famous, quote-unquote, Muslim footballer gives you no credit. No credit amongst those who follow the way in the path of the Messenger Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. One thing that we did, and this goes back to knowledge, one thing that we need to know is how important knowledge is. Because sometimes it's very easy and can be confusing to others that everybody is pointing the finger at someone else. Someone saying, no, they're wrong, and the other side saying, no, they're wrong, and there's fingers going everywhere. So how do you tell who's right and who's wrong, right? And that's why there's a saying attributed to one of the Salaf who said, know the truth, then you will know its people. Know the truth, and then you'll know its people. So if you're somebody who has no knowledge, you yourself should hold your tongue. And I don't mean this in a bad way, but just save yourself. Because a person could say a thing about his Prophet, or about Allah, or about the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal, just a word, and it will have him casted in the hellfire for 700 years or 7,000 years. I can't recall the exact number of the Prophet. So just hold your tongue. Seek knowledge. Seek knowledge. And compare. How do you, the next question may be, well, who do I take my knowledge from? Take your knowledge from the people who are saying, don't listen to me, listen to the Sahaba, listen to the Prophet, listen to Allah. They're not pushing the people to take their own opinions. Now, in saying that, going back to the question that you said, the Christmas tree, again, the Christmas tree is a pagan theme, or has pagan origins. Again, back to the same false deity, the Roman false deity, Saturn. Now, there's a couple of stories surrounding Saturn. So they say that one of the stories is that he went outside, or his mother or his sister or his wife, sorry, went outside, and they pretty much made a supplication to all the creatures by name, but they forgot to mention a particular tree, the oak tree. They forgot to say something about the oak tree. So he said that later on, this man, because he was a man at the end of the day, he wasn't an actual God, right? Because he's a creation. He was shot by an arrow from this particular tree. So then they said, the mother and the wife said, we forgot to mention this tree, so it was this tree that caused him evil. And the reason why he went through this is because he woke up one day and he was scared about all this creation that was going to harm him and kill him, right? So there's a lead up to this story, and you can go research this. So this actually is connected to the mistletoe, which is something else. Because this tree is from the oak tree is from, and the berries are from the mistletoe. But as for the tree itself, it was a tree that was taken by the pagan Romans, and they used to decorate this tree And on this tree, when they used to decorate it, they used to decorate it with ornaments, as Christians do today. And each one of these ornaments used to represent a god. And those gods were from the family tree, surprisingly enough, of this false deity, Saturn. Right? So these ornaments that were put on were in connection with this false deity. And they were mini gods, or demigods, if you want to call it that. Now, the first people to pick up this tree, or this tradition, and who used to decorate it, was the early Germans, the early German civilization. So they used to see this particular tree as an evergreen tree. It has all different names that would bring good luck and whatever and so on. So they would usually honor this tree in the winter solstice. And this is the winter solstice is when the winter was coming to an end, or starting to start. Allah Alam. Again, this is all pagan stuff, which I don't know too much about exactly why. But they used to celebrate by going to this tree, and they would decorate this tree with fruits and candles, and they would do so to honor a god, another false deity, another false god named Odin. Odin through the winter solstice. So they used to do this way. Now, the Christians were roaming through this place and seeing what the Christians, the Germans were doing. So they picked this up. They picked this up because from the outset, it looks like something good. People are being joyous. They're being happy. They're decorating this tree. So they picked this up and they made it, and they took it to other parts in Germany. And from when they took it to other parts in Germany, then they took it to the UK. And then from the UK, they took it to the US. So before that time, Christmas tree never ever existed to the early Christians. It never existed to the early Christians. Again, taken from the pagans. Taken from the pagans. So again, as we're saying over and over again, where is the Christmas tree mentioned in the Bible? So if the early Christians never did it, and the pagans are doing it, can a Muslim now come along and say, well, I'm going to do it because I want to blend in. I want to show that I'm accepting of everybody. I'm not against anyone. We're all one. We're all the children of Adam and Eve. We all love one another and everyone. No, this is not the case. Because if this is truly the case, and we say we're all the children of Adam, so we have to love everyone. So do the Jews love Hitler?
SubhanAllah.
Do the Jews love Hitler? Because, we're all mankind and everyone has to love everyone. Do certain people who are known for mass murder and so, are we supposed to love them too? So it's just something that is just a fairy tale. It's just a fairy tale. So even though, as you said, these footballers, these people who play soccer, they have photos with them and their family, and their wife doesn't even wear a hijab, and they're giving presents to their children, doesn't mean that now Muslims should be picking up the sin of others and carrying it along. So this is something that a Muslim has nothing to do with, and a Muslim should stay away from.
So as we can see that like you mentioned, the Christmas tree is not from Christianity, not from the Bible. Christmas is not from the Bible. Santa Claus is not from the Bible. I'm sure Easter eggs, Easter bunnies, all this, it's not from the Bible. So as you can see, the Christianity is really a top salad. A buffet, a top selling way. You go to the buffet, you pick here, pick there, pick there, pick there, and they put it all together into the modern day Christianity. And this is why I think it's very important, like we always mention, the follow the Quran and Sunnah. This is how Allah protected the deen of Islam to not be like the Christians. So there's no people coming and add a little bit here, take a little bit there, get a little bit like that, becoming like a top seller. Because Islam has strict guidance for the Quran and Sunnah. Whatever at the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it's been said. He said, today I have completed your religion and I've chosen Islam as your religion. Yeah. So whatever it was said at that time, that's it. There's no need to some really smart guy, some big sheikh, maybe 150 kilos. I don't know how big he is. He's a really big sheikh, and he comes to tell you.
Don't forget the Big Mac sauce coming down on his beard as well.
Because, brother, as you see, that the Christmas was established 25th December on 336 years old. 336 years after Jesus, right? So it was celebrated already at the time of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? So it was at the time there was Christians there. Did Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam say Merry Christmas, celebrate, congratulate them, give them a present? Did any of the Sahabas did that? All the righteous predecessors, all like the four righteous guiders, what I'm trying to say to you, right? Because that exists. So bring your evidence. For the Muslims, bring your evidence. You know, and for the non-Muslims who are just hating for no reason, just hate because it's easy to hate, bring your evidence. Bring us and challenge us. Challenge us on the 25th December. Challenge us on the Christmas tree. Challenge us on the Jesus being God.
Call us out. Call us out.
Yeah,
call us out.
Because it's easy to write an article, you know. Anyone can write an article and say this guy's that and that and that. But bring your proof. Bring your evidence. You know what I'm saying, right? Because otherwise it becomes slander. And this is something that we don't do as a Muslim. For everything we say, and also for all the haters out there, if you look at our YouTube channel, Ousayd given many talks. Every single talk that he gave, he bring evidence, he gives dalil. He's not coming from his own head. It's coming from what someone who said before him, from the Quran and Sunnah, upon understanding of the rightly guided. So if you disagree with him, with anything he said, he's got many, we have nothing to hide. Everything is posted. Every single class is posted online. Challenge him, call him, message us, debate. Whatever issue you don't agree with him, debate. You know, like be a man about it. You know, be academic about it. Don't be a fool and have respect for yourself. You know, writing up here, comment there, ha ha ha. You know, we're dealing with kids. We want adults to talk to us. You know, we want real men. You know, we don't want kids. You know what I'm saying? Because you're wasting time. You know.
It's good that you mentioned something that just brings to light something. When the Messenger Muhammad ﷺ was alive on this earth, and he was preaching Islam, and he wasn't there Christians at their time? There was Christians at their time.
Yes.
Well, and there was people there was Jews at their time, and you find that they were celebrating certain holidays too, or certain things. Yeah. So it's almost like today where people act that Christmas came somehow after the death of the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. These celebrations used to exist then. These celebrations used to exist then, right? So the Prophet ﷺ, if he wanted to use this, as many people say, oh, we're only doing this for da'wah or good manners. If the Prophet ﷺ said Merry Christmas to somebody, it would have been mentioned. A companion would have said, oh, the Prophet ﷺ said to a Christian, Merry Christmas in order to win him over to Islam. Nothing. You would have found that the companions are saying Merry Christmas or Happy Easter. Nothing. There's nothing there. The Prophet ﷺ nor the companions, they never compromised their Islam. They never compromised their Islam. If anything, we're always constantly told by the messenger, be different, oppose them, don't be like them, keep away from them. And there's a reason why, because you are raised up on the day of judgment with the people that you love, with the people that you love. So the Prophet ﷺ had our best interest in heart. He's telling us, don't be like them, don't follow them. But unfortunately today, due to weakness, due to the shuyukh of today, who, as we said earlier, have the Big Mac sauce on their beard, they want to be accepted by the society. They want to make sure that they're still getting their funding to their masjid and their mosque. They want to make sure that they're still in a particular council that rules over the Muslims in Australia. It's madness, subhanallah. So that's why it's important for the Muslims to know that we follow Allah Azza wa Jal and we follow the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah Azza wa Jal's words and the Prophet's words can never be rejected. As every other man other him, especially the men of today, their words can be taken and rejected. But the words of the Prophet ﷺ can never be rejected. So we never find that the Messenger celebrating any celebration of the Christians or the Jews or any other pagan. Rather, we find the opposite to that. He's saying keep away from them, do not join them. Even we find the Khulafa, time of the Khalifa Umar radiallahu anh, telling the people that when the Christians celebrate, even in the Islamic State, told the Muslims to keep away from them. And when the Christians will celebrate, they have to keep within the compounds of their places of worship or their houses or so on, and they can't publicize it. All right? So it's not da'wah. It's not da'wah. If anything, if you're saying to somebody, Merry Christmas, it's anti-da'wah. It's anti. How's it anti-da'wah? Because Christians know that we don't celebrate Christmas. So when you're saying to a Christian and you're going out of your way saying, oh, Merry Christmas, they're going to look at you and say, these people are hypocrites. Look how weak these people are that they have to congratulate us. Why would I want to join their religion? Or when you say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year and you say Happy Easter and all this stuff, you're encouraging them to stay on their disbelief. Why do they need Islam? If you, the Muslim, are congratulating them, you're being nice of them, you're not telling them, you're not advising them, really in essence you're not caring. You're not following the Sunnah. Because if you cared for these disbelievers, these kuffar, you would want Islam for them. If you truly followed the way of the Messenger of Allah, you would want Islam for them. So you would tell them that they are upon misguidance. Why? Because you want them saved. You don't just leave them. You don't pretty much you're doing exactly what a drug dealer is doing. You're giving the drug to the junkie. You're saying, here it is, take it. There's nothing wrong with it. You're not helping whatsoever. So, but even other things as well, I wanted to mention with Santa Claus, there's also debate as to where Santa Claus came from and who is he. I mentioned in my talk, which is on YouTube, that the first image of what we know Santa to be today, the red hat, the red clothing, big belly, white, was in 1930, and this was advertised by Coca-Cola. They made a Santa in this way. So that was the first time that we saw this sort of Santa Claus, right? But there is, if you go look into history, people say that no, this is going back to Saint Nicholas, and it's really not going back to Saint Nicholas, because this Saint Nicholas was supposed to be a bishop who used to care for the orphans and the prostitutes and all this sort of stuff, and they tie it back to him. But no, rather what they actually tie it to is little Nicky or little Nick. And what little Nicky is, or little Nick, is a name or a word that they used to call Satan. So what little Nick or little Nicky is referred to as Satan. So this is really where it's originating from. So, but again, all people have to do is do your homework. Just research. You know, open up your books, go online, ask somebody. In the case of you were saying earlier about the Jews, about what they say, they hate Jesus. They hate his mother. So they're not going to celebrate Christmas either. The atheists, in the last census in Australia, I think it was 40% of people said that they no longer have a faith, that the atheists, right? So the atheist doesn't care about Christmas. If you tell a strict atheist, Merry Christmas, he's going to tell you God doesn't exist, I don't care about Jesus or Christ or anything else, it's all fake, right? So why is it only when a Muslim says something that we find first the media and the disbelievers jumping on and trying to make a scenario of it, and then we have the pets of the disbelievers who are scared to be prey, who would rather be a little dog or a little cat being patted by the kuffar. They jump up and say, oh no, you can say Merry Christmas, or you people are radical, you people are extremists, these are fundamentalists, and you're going too far. Why? Because they want to be accepted by them. Because of why? Because of their own weakness. Because of their own weakness of wanting to blend in.
That's right, brother. Like advise the brothers who are watching and the sisters, check before you buy. Check before you buy. When you buy a bag of chips, what do you check in the back? Ingredients. If there's any haram ingredients, you would stay away from that item before you buy it, before you eat it. It's the same when you follow a sheikh. Check this sheikh before you start following him. Does he really care about you, or does he care about his stomach, his paycheck, his counsel, his title, mufti, sheikh, and this and that? Because like I said before in the beginning of this live stream, that if they really care about you, they would have mentioned about Christmas, how it's haram to say. What Ustad Abu Ousayd said 2 weeks ago, that talk should be in every khutbah in Australia to warn the Muslim, because they know very well many Muslims in Australia celebrating Christmas, sitting on Santa's lap, taking photos. All the celebrities have Christmas trees. There's Muslim, you know, I mean, like they become very, very open with this one. So they know it's an emergency for the Muslim. It's something that's critical that they should talk about this and warn people. But why are they quiet? Think about that. Why are they quiet? Is it hikmah? Is it maslaha? What is it? Why didn't they say something? And that's why they make Ustad Abu Ousayd as an easy target, because the Nile who sticks up is the one that's going to get hammered. But you're going to realize that you're going to sink a Nile like this. Because one day when this Nile is not there anymore, who's going to warn you about this? And who's going to warn you and your children about this? And then when the day of judgment comes, and then you are with the Christians, you know, on the day of judgment, because you celebrate the Christmas, you believe that, you know, 25th Jesus, the head of the Trinity, becoming flesh into the world, part of the triune Godhead, becoming save the world and die on the cross. You celebrate the Christmas, maybe very well you be with them. Then who are you going to blame? You yourself, right? Because you yourself are the one who's stopping the dawah, because you are not checking before you buy. You are just following the trend. And also, I just want to add also that if for the non-Muslims watching, if we don't care about you, if we hate you, this and that, why would we go out on the street, call you to Islam? When it's very hot, when it's wet, we still go. not for our own benefit. I'm Muslim. Inshallah, I'm going to heaven, right? I can focus on memorizing Quran, learning Arabic, learning this and that. Many things to do as a Muslim. But why am I going out there to call you to Islam? Some people walk past, flip cigarette butts at us. Some people call us devil. Some people make very nasty comments. But why am I out there to call you to Islam? If I hate you, then I wouldn't talk to you, right? I want you to go to hell. I'll leave you alone. But the thing is, we care about you. But sometimes truth hurts. Everybody want to hear nice words. But, like I would say, you told me about this before, a good friend will tell you the truth. You don't want a friend who just go, yeah, all good, all good. This guy is going to ruin you. Isn't that, brother?
He's actually your executioner.
Subhanallah. So is there anything else you want to add? You want to give I was saying, if you want to finish, we can get you to give the message
inshallah,
to the people who are...
We'll bring it to a closing, and maybe if someone wants to ask questions for a couple of minutes, not too long,
inshallah.
We'll take some. But I just want to say, look, I want to say to you, my brother, and barakallahu fik, and I think you overpraise me, and I'm not worthy of that praise. But at the end of the day, what we're trying to say to the people watching here is don't follow Abu Ousayd. Don't get that wrong. I'm not saying that, and the brother's not saying that. What we're saying is follow the proof. What we're saying to follow the proof. Go back to see what the Salaf of this ummah, the pious predecessors of this ummah said about this topic. Go read what they said. Go see what the Sahaba said. Go see what the Messenger Muhammad ﷺ himself said, and follow that. Don't worry about us. Don't worry about me. Follow the proof. Follow the proof, and not perfect personalities. Because a personality can go astray. May Allah protect us from going astray. Right? But the proof would never go wrong. So always connect yourself to the proof and not to personalities. I think inshallah there's
you want to give a closing message to the non-Muslim media or the people who slander you? Do you want to give a message to them? What do you want to say?
I want to give a message to the non-Muslim media, and I thank Allah Azza wa Jal, and then I thank you, because part of living in a non-Muslim country is I have to openly show my Islam. That's one of the conditions of me staying in the land of disbelief. You're helping me show that I believe in Allah Azza wa Jal, and I'm not going to compromise my deen. So I can stand in front of Allah Azza wa Jal with all your 245,000 followers to witness for me on the Day of Judgment, and I can say, Ya Allah, they witness Allah that I was calling to the truth and I was calling against this falsehood. So I want to say, keep doing the bad work that you're doing, because you're helping me out when I stand in front of my Lord. So that's what I want to say there. If there's any questions that the brothers or the sisters who are still online they have, and maybe we can answer, this is the time to ask them, inshallah.
What about the people who slander your name from the Muslims? What do you want to tell them? The people who have a beard?
Even those who slander me and my name and have been doing so for many years for many reasons, keep doing it. Keep doing it, because by Allah, I don't do enough ibadah, and I have shortcomings. So I'm counting on you people who talk behind my back and talk to others and slander and talk just like you are women. Actually, some women are better than you today because you're so weak. I say to you, keep doing what you're doing, because you are my backup plan. You are my backup plan, and I hope on the Day of Judgment that I come and I am in need of deeds that I take from your deeds. Or if I have bad deeds, I give you my bad deeds. So keep doing what you're doing. And on that, if anyone wants to go, and I'm talking specifically to these Muslims who say this, I challenge you, because they've said some harsh things apart from Christmas. I challenge you, with Allah as a witness and the people here as a witness, to make mubahala with me, to stand in front of Allah Azza wa Jal, and for whatever you accuse me of, and will call upon the curse of Allah Azza wa Jal on the liar. So if you're true to your words, because I am true with mine, let's do this. If you are really believe what you are saying, and I say to you, I would not forgive you, not in this dunya and in the akhirah, but again, keep doing what you're doing, because you're going to benefit me.
Jazakallah khairan. Thank you for the great conclude. Well, inshallah, we conclude the live then, inshallah. I think that's good enough.
We'll give it 2 minutes. We'll allow some questions. 2 minutes, inshallah. If anyone online has any questions, this is the time to post your questions, and then we're going to end it in 2 minutes. 2 minutes, inshallah.
Okay, look, please try to keep your question. Don't try to ask some sensitive questions. Inshallah, just try to keep it related to Christmas. If any brothers want to ask regarding the Christmas celebrations, because this is the why we're having this live is because the media they quickly jump on the bandwagon because it's clickbait, but they themselves are confused. Confused.com. They themselves don't even know the origin of Christmas.
And please, brothers and sisters, tag whatever news agency or any profile, or whether it be on Twitter, Instagram, or whatever. Tag this after this live is finished. Tag this this link and send it into their comments. And do whatever it is to protect the people that are on haqq with Allah. Any questions online, brothers and sisters?
They know where to find us. They know where we find us. Town Hall Station. Town Hall Station. If listens here, bring your priest, bring the Pope if you want. Bring whoever you want. Come to Town Hall. You know where we are. If you really care about Jesus and Christmas, if you really want to celebrate it, Muslim or non-Muslim, you know where to find us. Come and have a sit down. We buy you a cup of tea if you want. We'll talk about it. Like, let's be like an adult.
We can record. And we can record it as well, so no one lies.
Yeah. Subhanallah. Okay. MashaAllah. I think that's it.
People, brothers and sisters, those who are saying they love me for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal, may Allah Azza wa Jal, the one who put the love in your heart, love you. Barakallahu feekum.
Ameen. Jazakallah khair.
Allah bless you. We'll give it one more minute, akhi, and we'll stop, inshallah.
Any questions, brothers and sisters? If no, we're gonna. Is it okay to buy things from sales around Christmas?
Is it okay to buy things from the sales around the Christmas? If it's got anything to do with Christmas, don't buy it. Don't buy it. If it has anything to do with Christmas, like it's anything that represents anything from their celebrating or whatever, but if they have a holiday sale and something's 20% off, like a shoe, I don't think a shoe has anything to do with Christmas unless they somehow bring a story from somewhere that all of a sudden shoes mean something. Actually, they do. They've got socks. You put presents in your socks. So don't buy anything. Don't buy anything that has to do with their Christmas now. But if it's things that are on sale just because it's the holiday season or whatever and whatnot, there shouldn't be an issue. There shouldn't be an issue. There was another question there. I didn't see it.
What's your view on MEMRI? What's your view on that?
Is that one of the questions?
Yeah, one of them. What's your view on that? On the channel.
They're talking about memory.
Yeah.
As I said, and from what I've looked into, these people are happy to slander Muslims day and night. They're happy to slander Muslims day and night. From some investigation, they are Zionist Jews that are behind this site, and there's another site as well that they run. But from my investigation, that it's run by Zionist Jews. So it's not something that you should take as gold, But yeah, but let them do their work right. If they're gonna talk about something, get things right. I was never ever a scholar. Never called myself a scholar. So at least speak the truth.
What's your opinion on Shia? What's your opinion on Shia? What's your opinion?
They call me Sheikh. I'd rather just be called Abu Ousayd, or if you must, out of respect, if you want to say something, say at least Ustad, but please don't call me Sheikh. What's my opinion on Shia? My opinion is the same stances as the Salaf, and that is that once they have committed shirk or they've called upon Ali radiallahu anhu as a Lord, then they're mushrikeen. They're murtaddeen, and they're not part of the fold of Islam. There is two different opinions regarding the general layman Shia. Is he a disbeliever, right? So one of the views is that the layman isn't, but all of their scholars and their learned person are disbelievers. I tend to lean more to that complete layman, and I'm talking about a layman who knows nothing about Shiaism, nothing at all, not the Ali, this or that, but he just by name, because he was brought up in a Shia family, said he connects to himself to Shia. But how do I know he's a disbeliever or not? Is by talking to him. So if I talk to him and say to him, what do you believe as a Shia? And he says everything that we believe, then I tell him, well, let go of the name. Let go of the name. But if it says to me that, I believe the Quran is changed and we call upon Ali or anything about the Sahaba, then straight away this person is a disbeliever. And if anything, we have to invite him to Islam. Now, the other opinion is that every single Shia, and I'm saying Shia here, and I'm differing between Shia and Rafida. that the Shia, that the laymen and the learned people are disbelievers. And this is the general stance. And again, I also lean between the two. So generally, the Shia are kuffar, the laymen and definitely the learned. But then as individuals, then we have to speak with the individual and find out, is he just Shia by name, or is he truly holds the belief? Because we have to judge people what their beliefs are. That's why when somebody is we say somebody is madkhali or has irja, we have to judge him by the foundations of what the murji'ah are and the madakhila are. That's why these people who throw the word the khawarij, you cannot judge a person or say a person is khariji unless you know that he is carrying the usul, the foundations of the khawarij. So this is and we have to judge people by their foundations, Was there anything else? Any other question?
I don't think so. I think that's about it.
There was something about takfir I just saw. Tahrif. Takfir or shia. Khalas. We're getting off topic. We started talking about the Christians, and now we're talking about other mushrikeen. So we'll leave that for another time.
Teaching children. Any good resource on teaching you? Well, our YouTube channels, inshallah, is always free to watch.
Yes, if you want to see the beautiful face of my brother Abu Muhammad, subscribe to the Dawah van or Medina van.
Medina van for now.
Medina van. Subscribe to the Medina van. You see the brother Tabarakallah doing a lot of hard work out there calling.
Medina Dawah Center.
And also to Al Medina Dawah Center. And as you know, if you don't know, Abu Ousayd, Instagram, Telegram, and YouTube. And I have to put that plug in there so you can keep up with what's happening. Khalas, we'll end there, inshallah, Muhammad.
Please answer, Sheikh. Which one she? Is a guy or girl?
I don't know what the question was. What was the sister's question?
Sheikh, answer. I don't know what he or right. Are Shia and
the Shia and the Rafid are the same.
Okay.
When I say Shia, the reason why I'm a bit easy with the word Shia is because there is a group among the Shia who don't really exist today, and they were known as the Zaydiyah. So Imam Zayd was the Imam of this madhab. And if you look into a book called The Evolution of Fiqh, you would find that it speaks about him. And the only difference that he had and what we have is that he says that he believes that and he says my grandfather or my great-grandfather Ali should have been the leader of the believers at the time, but because the other Sahaba didn't differ and didn't make an issue of it, then we don't say anything about them. So they're the most closest to, and we can still say they're Muslim. So when I say Shia, I don't want to say all Shia are kuffar, and then we throw the Zaydiyah, the original Zaydiyah, under the bus, who their only thing is that they preferred Ali to be the leader, but because the companions didn't disagree, they didn't disagree. They didn't make an issue of it. So that's the only issue. Now the Imam of this madhab, we should know quickly in case you don't read the book, he was killed by his brother. His brother killed him and took over his madhab and then turned it into what we know of the Shia and the Rafidah today, which in fact mushrikeen and adullah, enemies of Allah Azza wa Jal.
I think she want to know the difference between a Shia. Rafida means reject. They actually reject the Sahaba.
Yeah, those who reject the Khulafa, and they reject more than that.
But some Shias don't reject all the Sahaba, because even the Shia have different sects, right? And I think they make takfir on each other.
There is actual Shia that would call their own selves Rafida.
The one who hit themselves.
The 12 Imams and all this sort of stuff. These are clear kuffar. They're laymen and they're learned. Clear kuffar. The 12 Imams, that sort of Shia sect.
All right, I think we'll take one more. That's it. What is worse, wearing tight jeans above ankle or wearing a loose thing covering ankles? Wait, which one is worse?
Wait, what is worse, wearing tight jeans above the ankles or wearing loose jeans covering the ankles? I advise you to listen to last Tuesday's class.
Yeah.
And that is on which page, Akhi?
Al Madina Dawah Center, YouTube page.
Al Madina Dawah Center. We touched upon this answer, this question. Brother Amr, barakallahu feek. خلاص, we'll leave it there inshallah, because سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك أستغفر الله وأتوب إليه. يلا, السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.